she's filled up with oil. I ran the starter for 45 seconds to run oil through the pump and everything. So we'll try for a start now and see what happens. All right, watch out. Watch out. Oh god. All right. Well, that sounds much better. Much better. Success, boys. Success. Alright, so another little update here. I got all the timing covers on, and then the pulleys, the alternator, the belt, and then I went ahead and put the intake on and all the hoses for everything. I put the new coolant reservoir, expansion tank, whatever you want to call it, in. So this thing's basically ready to go. I need to fill up the coolant and bleed it, so we'll see how well that works. And I'll have to jack up the rear of it because I need that to be higher than this. So I'm thinking about putting like a thing right here that's like a place where you can fill the coolant, because that is the highest point of it. So, you know, something to think about. I'll get around to it, but for now it should work, as long as I jack up the rear of the truck while I fill it up. And I've also been working on this bunk shifter. So basically all these holes are stripped out, and so I just took a tap and some bolts and tapped them out, and the bolts fit, but the bolts are bigger than the old ones obviously, so I had to drill out the holes on this thing here. And it's really tough metal. I don't know what kind of metal it is, but it was hard to drill out. But anyways, got it done, and I'm gonna put the shifter on and see how it feels. Also, shout out to whoever it was that commented and said I was missing this bushing here for when this goes in there. That should smoother, so I had no idea that was even missing, so shout out to that guy. Thanks, man. All right, got the truck all jacked up from the rear. Got the shifter put on, and it's as solid as it's been since I've had that transmission. And now I've got that in just a little bit higher than this one over here, but that's all I need, so should be enough to get it bled properly. So about to get a funnel and fill her up. So got the coolant bled and the truck's running great. Now I just need to work on some small things. One being the fact that this is too high up and it won't let the hood close all the way. So to fix it, I'm literally just going to trim this cap down. See, this thread's all the way down, and I only need like a few. So I'm just gonna trim this cap down, and that should be fine. Smiley. And then, other than that, let's see. The oil pressure gauge, brand new glove super one, is not coming on when I start the car, so I'll have to see what's up with that. But I'm sure it's just a loose wire or something. So, other than those two things, this thing's ready to go. All right, so got the gauge figured out, and it was just a loose wire. So now when you give the truck power, it comes on, looks all fancy, works great. And so I was driving the truck around today, hauling a load of metal to the metal place, and it kept overheating. And so I went to bleed the coolant again, and behold, this coolant line came off. And this is the coolant feed for the turbo. So basically I just got home by, I'm sorry, that's not the coolant feed for the turbo, that is the coolant feed for the oil cooler. So not a huge deal, but because of it, the coolant leaks out right there. So I got home by driving to the top of hills and then turning the car off until, you know, I needed power to go again, and just coasting down hills and stuff like that. So made it home, not a big deal, but to fix this, I need to take that piece right there off. So it's not the most accessible, but it's certainly easier than fixing an oil pump like I just did. So yeah, just gonna take that off and then find a way to fix that tube on there. So here we go. All right, so I got this thing off real easy, no problem. I'll have to redo the RTV on the bottom, but that's no big deal. So what came off was this little piece here, and I had it RTV'd to this here from whenever I built the truck and had clearance issues. So the problem, I think, is that this piece here wasn't long enough. I was just barely able to RTV it in place, and you know, it worked great for this long, but I think what's going to make it better is to get a whole new tube. So instead of this one, I'm going to be using this thing here. I'll chop it down to size, but you know, I've got more length to work with. Then I'll take this drill bit and drill a hole in there for that tube to go in further, and I'll JB weld the heck out of it again, and should work great. So here we go. All right, so I got my hole drilled out, and I got my little shaft cut down. So I'm just gonna JB weld it in there, and then let it dry for a couple days, and that should be it. So I'm pretty sure the length and not the JB weld itself was the problem, because I did the same thing up here, and this one seems to be holding fine. So yep, gonna do it, make it happen. There it is, all JB welded up, and just gotta let it dry now. It should be all good. All right, so it's the next night, and this thing has pretty much all the way set up. It's nice and hard now. So I'm going to use the normal razor blade and just scrape the old gasket stuff off the bottom of this, and scrape the old RTV off that right there. And there's not a lot, so it should be pretty easy. And then I'll put new RTV on it, and then I'm just gonna put a whole ton on this right here, right where you see the other ones, but just a lot more is what I'm gonna put. And then I'll put it on there, and I'll get the bolts finger tight, and then I'm gonna let it set for an hour and kind of harden up a little bit, and then I'll torque it down all the way, and then I'm gonna let it cure out for a day before running any water through it. So that's the plan. Here we go. All right, it's the next day. I got everything on, all the hoses connected, radiator cap ready to go. So I'm gonna fill her up with water and see if she holds, and if she will, I'm gonna bleed her out and go pick up some things from the store, because I need to use the truck today, so hopefully it works. All right, got her jacked up in the driveway so I can get a good angle on it, and just bleeding the coolant out now, and it actually holds coolant now, so it should work. All right, all done. Coolant bled out successfully, didn't overheat, so I'm calling this a huge success. All right, she made it home, no problems, didn't get hot at all, not even a little bit, and it's running and driving, shifting, everything better, and sounding better, and just feeling better, and it's doing everything better than it has since I've owned the thing. So got some materials in the back. Stick around to see what I build with these. So appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next one.